hands were in his pockets. "It wasn't me," replied Mr. Giannini. "I didn't speak to Carol Fernandez. I hadn't heard of Genovia until this morning." "Well, somebody told the newspapers about Mia," said my dad. "I'm going to call Carol Fernandez and ask her." Then he told Laz to go with me to my classroom. "Dad, I don't need a bodyguard," I said. "Mia," said my dad, "Genovia is a small country, but it's very rich. Maybe someone will try to kidnap you." "Dad, no one is going to kidnap me," I said. But my dad didn't listen. Now I have a bodyguard just like Tina Hakim Baba. Everyone will laugh at me even more. Late afternoon. Suddenly, I'm very popular. When I walked into the cafeteria at lunchtime, Lana Weinberger came up to me. "Hey, Amelia," she said, "come and sit with us." Lana wants to be my friend now because I'm a princess. "No thanks, Lana," I said. "I have someone to sit with." I went to sit with Tina. Lana looked shocked. Everyone in the cafeteria was staring at our table. Tina looked at me sadly, but she didn't say anything. "Tina," I said at last, "if you don't want to sit with me, I'll understand." Tina's eyes filled with tears. "What do you mean, Mia?" she said. "Don't you like me anymore?" "Of course I like you," I said. "But everyone is staring at us because of me." "No, Mia," she said. "They are not staring because of you. Everyone always stares at me. They stare at me because of Wahim." Wahim is Tina's bodyguard. He and Lars were sitting together at our table. The two men were talking about guns. I got mad then. I wasn't mad with Tina. I was mad with everyone else at Albert Einstein High School. Nobody talks to Tina. "She's a freak," they say. "She's weird. But she's a really nice girl." "I want to sit with you, Tina," I said. Tina looked happier then. She started reading another romance today. She told me all about it. When Michael Moskovitz was helping me with my algebra, we had this conversation. Lily joined in too. "Michael, so you're the Princess of Genovia. When were you going to tell your friends?" Me. "I didn't want anyone to know." Michael. "Why? It's not a bad thing." Me. "Are you joking? Of course it's bad. I don't want a different life. I don't want to be a princess." Lily. "Mia, your dad has more than $300 million. He's never worked for it. I read this in a newspaper. Did this money come from the poor people of Genovia?" Michael. "Lily, no one in Genovia has to pay anything to their government. The country is very rich. Everyone in Genovia has a good education. Maybe Mia's father gets paid well because he works very hard for his country. You're jealous." Lily. "I am not." Michael. "Yes, you are. Mia got a new hairstyle and she didn't ask for your advice first. That's why you're jealous. Then you stopped talking to her and she found a new friend. All this time Mia had a secret and she didn't tell you about it." Lily. To Michael. "Michael, shut up." Michael. To me. "Does this guy," pointing to Lars, "follow you everywhere? Does he go with you on dates? Will he go with you to the dance this weekend?" Me. "No, because no one has asked me." Chapter 9. I'm famous. Wednesday, October 15th, evening. I'm famous. When Lars and I walked out of the school today, there were reporters everywhere. They started taking photos and shouting questions. "Smile, please, Amelia." "Hey, Amelia, what's it like being a princess?" I was frightened, but Lars helped me. First, he told me not to say anything. Then he put his arm around me. He pushed me through the crowd of photographers and reporters. He pushed me into the back seat of Dad's car. Then he jumped in beside me. Drive, shouted Lars. I didn't know the man who was driving the car. My dad was sitting next to him. Where will I go to school now, Dad? I asked. You can stay at Albert Einstein High School, said my dad. Lars will go with you every day. He'll protect you. Who will drive your car? I asked. Hans, said my dad, pointing to the driver. He's my driver now. Will Lars go everywhere with me? I asked. Yes, said my dad. Suddenly I understood. I'll never be able to go anywhere alone again. I don't want to be a princess anymore, I said. You can take back your money. Tell Grand-mère to go back to France. I've had enough. It's too late, Mia, said my dad. You're the Princess of Genovia. Everyone knows that. Tomorrow there will be photos of you in every newspaper in America. Later. My mom spoke to my dad. Now he's mad with her. Clarice talked to Carol Fernandez about Mia, didn't she? Said Mom. My mother didn't tell that reporter about Mia, said my dad angrily. Why do you think that? Maybe your boyfriend Frank Giannini spoke to the reporter. Then my mom got mad too. Get out, she said in a cold voice. Leave my apartment. You don't like my mother, so you can't see the truth, said my dad angrily. The truth, said my mom. I'll tell you the truth, Philippe. Your mother. I went to my room. I didn't want to hear the fight between my parents. But is my mom right? Did Grand-mère tell Carol Fernandez about me? Thursday, October 16th. This morning, my picture was on the covers of the Daily News newspaper and the magazine New York Newsday. The picture was also in the New York Times. There were more reporters waiting for me outside school today. Lars held my arm and we ran into school together. As we ran, the reporters were shouting questions. Amelia, who do you like best, Leonardo DiCaprio or Prince William? Princess Amelia, why don't you eat meat? Afternoon. Something very surprising has happened. I was in the cafeteria with Tina and Laz and Wahim. We were eating our lunch. Suddenly, Lana Weinberger put her tray down next to mine. I'm not joking. Lana Weinberger sat beside me. Then someone else put down a tray on the table. It was Josh Richter. Hey, he said. He sat down in the seat next to me and started eating. Are you going to the school dance this weekend, Mia? Asked Lana. Josh's parents are away. After the dance, we're all going to a party at Josh's place. Will you come too? I'm sorry, I said. I can't. Lana stared at me. What do you mean, you can't? She said. I've heard about the seniors' parties. Everyone drinks lots of alcohol and gets very drunk. My mom won't let me go to a party like that, I said. Don't tell your mom the truth, Lana said. Say to her, I'm spending the night with a girlfriend. But I could never tell this lie to my mom. I'm sorry, I said. Everyone drinks a lot of alcohol at those parties. I don't drink alcohol. Alcohol is a poison. I don't like putting poison into my body. I can understand that, said Josh Richter suddenly. Josh, said Lana laughing. You drink more than anyone in the whole school. Josh didn't laugh. He just stared at Lana with his blue eyes. It wasn't a very nice stare. Late afternoon. When class is finished, Josh was waiting outside my classroom. Hey, he said. Then he smiled. It was a big smile that showed all his teeth. They were very white. Are you going to the dance with anyone? He asked. I dropped my book in surprise. I bent down to pick it up. No, I said in a weak voice. Oh, well, I'll see you, said Josh. Then he left. I'm still shocked. Josh Richter talked to me today. Twice. Evening. This evening, Grandmère wanted to have dinner at an expensive restaurant. She wanted us to go outside the Plaza Hotel for a meal. "There will be reporters outside," she said. "I'll teach you what to do." But when we came out of the hotel, the reporters weren't there. "Wait 1 minute," said Grandmère. She went back into the hotel. I got into the car. She came out of the hotel again a little later. When we arrived at the restaurant, lots of reporters were waiting. I was very surprised. Immediately they started taking photos and shouting questions. I turned to Grandmère. "You called these reporters, didn't you? You told them about our plan to eat here. Did you tell Carol Fernandez about me too? Did you give her my story for her newspaper?" "Of course," said Grandmère. "You have to learn how to live with reporters, Amelia. It's part of being a princess." "Dad and Mom had a big fight about the report in the New York Post," I said. "But Mr. Giannini didn't talk to Carol Fernandez, did he? You did. I'm going to tell Dad the truth. He's going to be really mad at you, Grandmère." "No, he won't be mad," she said. "That story in the Post was only the beginning. Soon you'll be on the cover of Vogue magazine, and then—" "Grandmère," I shouted, "I don't want to be on the cover of Vogue." When I got home, I called my dad. "Dad, Grandmère told Carol Fernandez everything about me," I said. "It wasn't Mr. Giannini." "I know," he said in an unhappy voice. "Well," I said, "you have to apologize to Mom." Later, my dad called my mom. Afterwards, she looked very happy. Maybe my dad apologized to her. Chapter 10. My First Date. Friday, October 17th. Josh and Lana have broken up. I can't believe this. Josh has ended his relationship with Lana. He doesn't want her as his girlfriend anymore. Everyone in school is talking about it. When I saw Lana, she looked awful. Her eyes were red. She had been crying. After the first lesson, Josh Richter came up to me after my English class. "Hey, Mia, who are you going with to the dance tomorrow?" he asked. No one," I replied. "Well, why don't we go together?" he said. I couldn't speak for a minute. Josh Richter and me on a date. Then I heard a tiny voice inside my head. "He's only asking you because you're the Princess of Genovia." But I didn't want to listen to the voice. "Yeah, okay," I said. "That might be fun." "Fine," said Josh. "I'll come for you at 7 o'clock. We'll go to a restaurant, Tavern on the Green, and have dinner first." Late morning. I'm going to the dance with Josh, and Lily has found out. Now she's speaking to me again, but she only says bad things about Josh. "He's just broken up with Lana," she said. "He broke up with her 16 hours ago. Then this afternoon he asks you out. He's bad, Mia. And he takes drugs." Some of Josh's friends take drugs, this is true. But does Josh take drugs? I can't believe that. Lana looks so sad, and Josh doesn't seem to care. He and his friends sat with Tina and me at lunch today. But Josh and his friends didn't talk to us. They just talked to each other. I feel bad about Lana, but I still want to go to the dance with Josh. Evening. My princess class with Grandmère ended after an hour. This is because I'm going to spend the night at Tina's place. I told Grandmère about the dance and Josh's invitation. Grandmère was very pleased. She called a famous fashion company. She made an appointment for me tomorrow. I'm going to their store to choose a new dress. After I left Grandmère's suite, I went to Tina's huge luxury apartment. Tina has 3 little sisters and a baby brother. She also has a big TV in her room and a Sony PlayStation. Tina's parents are really nice. Mr. Hakim Baba isn't well. He has a problem with his heart. He can't eat meat. He only eats vegetables and rice. Mrs. Hakim Baba is very beautiful. She's British and she has blonde hair. She used to be a fashion model. Her picture was once on the cover of Vogue, but she doesn't work now. Tina showed me her dress for the dance. It's very pretty. She looks much more like a princess than I do. Saturday, October 18th. When I got home, Mr. Giannini was there. "Has Josh called?" I asked my mom. "You don't mean Josh Richter, do you?" asked Mr. Giannini. "Yes," I said. "I'm going to the dance with Josh tonight." "But what about Lana Weinberger?" asked Mr. Giannini in a surprised voice. "She is Josh's girlfriend." "They broke up," I said. "Who's Josh Richter?" asked my mom. "He's the most gorgeous boy in the school," I said. "Well, he's the most popular," said Mr. Giannini. "But he isn't the right kind of boy for Mia." "Oh," said my mom. "Then I have to talk to Mia's father." She called my dad at the Plaza Hotel. As she was speaking to him, the front doorbell rang. Mr. Giannini opened the door. "I'm Clarice Marie Rinaldo, the Dowager Princess of Genovia," said a loud voice. "Who are you?" It was Grandmère. She had come to our apartment. She was going to take me shopping. She stared at Mr. Giannini. "Grandmère," I said, "they won't let me go to the dance." My mom was still talking to my dad on the phone. Grandmère came into the apartment and took the phone from Mom's hand. "Philippe," Grandmère said into the phone, "your daughter is going to the dance tonight with her boyfriend. I'm going to buy her a new dress. I'm taking her to the store now." Then Grandmère spoke quickly to my dad. She used some rude words, but she spoke in French, so only I understood her. My mom and Mr. Giannini didn't understand what she was saying. When Grandmère put the phone down, she looked around our apartment. "The Princess of Genovia lives here?" she asked. "In this place?" "Now listen, Clarice," said my mom angrily. "Go and get your coat, Amelia," said Grandmère. I went to get my coat. When I returned to the living room, my mom's eyes were very red. Mr. Giannini was looking at the floor. Then I went shopping with Grandmère. Mom and Mr. Giannini didn't stop me. Evening. It's after 7 o'clock, and I'm waiting for Josh. I'm sitting and writing my diary. I'm wearing my new dress and my new shoes. My hair and my makeup and nails are perfect. My dress is pale blue silk, and it's beautiful. My dad is sitting at the kitchen table. My mom keeps looking at the clock. "You can go out with Josh," said my dad, "but Lars has to go with you." My dad looked at his watch. "It's 7:15, he said. "Josh Richter is late." The front doorbell has just rung. Josh is here. The ladies' room, Tavern on the Green. I'm sitting in the ladies' room of the restaurant, Tavern on the Green. Josh was good with my parents. My dad asked him lots of questions. Questions such as, "What car are you driving? What time will you be back? Which college are you going to after high school?" Josh answered all my dad's questions politely. He even called my dad Sir. Then Josh and Lars and I went down to the street. Josh had come in his father's car. We got into it. Lars drove and Josh and I sat in the back seat. We talked for a few minutes, but then a strange thing happened. Josh and I didn't have anything more to say to each other. We didn't talk for the rest of the ride to the restaurant. I don't have this problem with Lily's brother, Michael. Michael Moskovitz and I never stopped talking. When we got to the restaurant, Josh's friends and their girlfriends were sitting at a big table. Josh ordered bottles of champagne. Then, without asking me, he ordered steaks too. But I'm a vegetarian and I won't eat meat. I haven't eaten my steak and Josh hasn't noticed. He's talking and laughing with his friends. He hasn't spoken to me since we got to the restaurant. He has ordered more and more champagne. Why does he want to drink so much? This evening is not going well, so I came into the ladies' room, but I'll have to go back to the table soon. Chapter 11. The Wrong Kind of Boy. Saturday, October 18th, evening. The girls' room, Albert Einstein High School. I found out the truth about Josh. I can't believe what he's done. We stayed in the restaurant for a long time. Josh and his friends drank 9 bottles of champagne. We were late getting to the dance. When we arrived at the school, there were lots of news reporters' vans outside the building. There was a big crowd of reporters. They were shining big, bright lights onto the steps at the front of the school. Some reporters were checking their cameras and tape recorders. Others were talking on their cell phones. They were all waiting for someone. Me. Who told all the reporters that I was coming to the dance? Not Grandmère this time. Lars was very angry when he saw the crowd, but Josh didn't care. "Come on," he said to me. "We'll run up the steps into the school while Lars parks the car." Josh held my hand and pulled me out of the car. Then he pulled me up the steps to the school doors. When the reporters saw me, they shouted, "It's her! It's Princess Mia!" They started taking pictures and shouting questions. The lights of the camera's flashbulbs were very bright. I couldn't see where I was going. I held Josh's hand tightly. At last, I saw the school doors in front of us. Josh stopped. Below us, the reporters were screaming questions and taking photos. "Kiss her! Kiss her!" they shouted. Suddenly, Josh turned toward me and kissed me on the lips. At once, all the camera's flashbulbs went off. The reporters were taking pictures of Princess Mia's first kiss. But I didn't feel happy and romantic. I felt embarrassed. Josh turned to the reporters. He waved his hand and smiled. Then he opened the doors to the school and pushed me inside. My friends were standing inside the school hall. Tina and her boyfriend, Lily and Boris. Mr. Giannini and other students from school were there too. Everyone was looking at me. I couldn't think clearly. Josh Richter had just kissed me on the lips. He had kissed me and all the reporters had taken a picture. Then I realized the truth. Josh wanted to date a princess, so he broke up with Lana. Then he invited me to the dance. He told the reporters about the dance. He told them about me. He wanted to get his picture in the papers with me. I turned and stared at Josh. "Why did you kiss me in front of everyone?" I asked angrily. "The reporters were shouting, 'Kiss her, kiss her,'" said Josh. "They wanted a good photo, so I kissed you." "You didn't kiss me because you like me," I said. "You kissed me because I'm the Princess of Genovia." "Of course I like you," said Josh. "No," I said. "You don't care about me. You don't know me. You don't know my feelings or thoughts. You haven't asked what I like. You ordered a steak for my dinner, but you didn't ask me first." My friends were all staring at Josh. "Mia is a vegetarian, you idiot," said Lily. "Oh, sorry," said Josh. But he didn't sound very sorry. "Are you ready to dance?" I didn't reply. I didn't want to dance with Josh. I turned and walked away into the girls' room. Tomorrow, pictures of Josh kissing me will be in all the newspapers. Will the words, "Young Royal is in love," be above the pictures? I'm not in love with Josh anymore. I don't want a boyfriend like him. He only wants me because I'm a princess. When my dad sees the photos, he's going to be really mad. Then I heard Lily and Tina's voices. They had come into the girls' room. "Are you okay, Mia?" Lily asked in a kind voice. "I'm sorry about everything. Come and join us." "I can't," I said. "You all have dates. I don't have one." "Michael is here," said Lily. "He doesn't have a date." "Michael Moscovitz is at the dance? I'm coming out." Sunday, October 19th, Lily's place. Lily and I aren't fighting anymore, and Lily and Tina have become friends. There weren't any pictures of Josh kissing me in the newspapers today. There was more important news. Yesterday, Iran attacked Afghanistan. All the news reports were about the fighting. I had a wonderful time with Michael at the dance. We talked a lot, and we danced together. It was wonderful standing close to Michael and holding him. Then we all went back to Lily's place in Tina's car. I called my mom. She let me stay with Lily last night. This morning I woke up early. I can hear Lily's family making breakfast in the kitchen. I am so happy. Evening, my apartment. Grandmère and Dad came here this afternoon. They wanted to know about the dance. I didn't tell Dad about my kiss with Josh. I spoke to Lars earlier. He promised not to tell my dad either. I won't have any princess classes for a whole week. Grandmère is going away for several days. Later in the afternoon, I took Grandmère up to the roof of our apartment. My mom and Dad came out onto the roof too. There is a wonderful view of the city from our roof. You can see all of Manhattan and the Hudson River. The sun was just going down, and the sky was purple and pink and orange. We all stood on the roof and watched the beautiful sunset. I felt very peaceful and happy. Maybe everything is going to be all right. Maybe my life as a princess will be okay too.